Hello, I'm Grace. I work at Alley Cat's Quilt Shop. I am looking forward to coming to you each month to work on the Puzzle Play Block of the Month that's starting in March 2021. This is a fun pattern. It's got a lot of variety in there. We're going to be making 8-inch unfinished blocks, coming down to 7.5 inches finished. There's a lot of variety in there. We're going to start with some simpler blocks, move into some more complicated blocks, and I'll be there to guide you all the way. Every month I'll be posting a video on the blocks for that month so we can work together on that. I wanted to take a few minutes and give you a few tips, go over a few tools that you might find helpful as we go on this journey. So first thing is the thread that I'm using when I'm constructing this puzzle play is the Aurifil 2311. It's going to be a nice color that blends well with the background fabric and all of the fabric in there. I like Aurifil thread because it's a finer woven thread and it's going to get in your seam and allow you to have sharper seams that are going to press open nice, which will lead to nice sharp square blocks. I recommend that you wind several bobbins ahead of time. There's going to be a lot of piecing in this block, and then you won't have to stop and wind bobbins when you need to. A needle for piecing, I'll be using the Microtech 8012 needles. I know that's backwards, but you can figure it out there. These are a nice sharp needle. It's going to pierce through the fabric, not push around the fibers of the fabric. Again, it's going to help you to get nice, precise piecing. Pins that we're using, I recommend that you, if you don't already have some, invest in some nice fine sharp pins. There's either the glass head pins or the magic head pins. Either one are going to be nicer. I'm going to choose to use a shorter pin for this project because we're working with some smaller pieces and you just don't need that big old pin hanging out there. But you may want to treat yourself to a new box of pins, some nice straight ones. We're not dealing with all kinds of crooked pins and so forth in there. Another thing you might want to do, I highly recommend you treat yourself to a new sharp rotary blade. There's a lot of cutting in this pattern, and having a sharp blade is going to prevent you from tugging at the fabric and making it go wonky. You want a nice, crisp, sharp cut, and a new sharp blade is going to help you achieve that. The more precise your cuts are, the more precise your blocks are going to be, and they're going to square up nicely. I also have a couple other tools that I use. A stiletto, we're going to have some small piecing as we get into smaller pieces as we get in further with the blocks, and the stiletto will help you guide whatever kind you have. I like to buy Annie. It also has an edge here so you can press down your seams a little bit, pressing them open. So I like this one. Also snips or a little pair of scissors. I've graduated from scissors to snips. I don't know where these have been all my life, but I love these little snips. I keep them by my machine, and anytime I need to snip a little thread, I've got that right there. Before you get going on sewing, you want to find the 1/4 inch or scant 1/4 inch on your machine. If you have to do any adjustments to your needle position, whatever foot you're using, the important thing is that you are consistent. So if you do make any adjustments on your 1/4 inch or scant 1/4 inch seam, make a little note of that on your pattern, put a little sticky note on your sewing machine, something, so that when you are working on this block of the month, you always make sure that your settings are set for that 1/4 inch or scant. A scant is just 1 or 2 threads off of a 1/4 inch. It just allows for the space that's taken up by the thread. So again, you can open a nice even seam, a precise seam that's going to lead to straighter, squarer blocks. A couple of things. The other thing regarding stitch, we've got some small piecing. You might want to bring down your stitch length a notch or two from your default setting on your machine. A smaller stitch, because again, we're going to be having some stitching up some smaller pieces as we go along. Some of the other tools that I have used when I was cutting out the blocks to prepare to do this is rulers. I've got a 3 by 18 inch ruler that I've used a lot. I cut a lot of my half-yard cuts into fat quarters so that it was easier to handle. So the 3 by 18 worked well for that. I also have an 8 inch square ruler because again, you're going to be your blocks are going to come out 8 inches, and this is going to help you to check to make sure that you are square. So an 8-inch ruler would be very helpful. This ruler I found to be invaluable when I was cutting up the fabric for making the blocks. This is a 3.5 inch. I like the Quilter square rulers because when you put them down, they've got a surface on the back that's a non-slip surface. So you put them down and hold it down, and you're going to get some nice, straight, precise cuts, which is very important with these blocks. You've got a lot of cutting, a lot of small things. You want to have nice, precise cuts. So a ruler that doesn't slip around is very helpful here. If you can set up your sewing space so that you've got your machine, and I have a wool pressing mat right here, some type of pressing mat right by your machine, and I'm also using a small iron. So you can go from your machine right over to your pressing mat, press out your seams, piece some more, go back and forth. So that's just a little tip to make it more efficient when you are working on your blocks. A couple other things to consider when you're setting up. Each month when you get your patterns and your fabric from the shop, it's going to come in a binder sheet, a plastic binder insert, so that you can put your pattern will be right in there, and that would fit well into a nice 3-ring binder. So you might want to think about getting a 3-ring binder that you can put your patterns in. I also found these pockets on Amazon. It's got a Ziploc pocket in there, and I put all the pieces that I'm going to be sewing in there, clipping all the blocks together. I've got, you can see here, I've cut by prints for this is for month number 1, and I have it clipped together. So again, wonder clips would be a wonderful thing here to keeping track and keeping organized. I am a project box kind of girl, so I have a project box here, and they come in all kinds of shapes and sizes, but this is the one that I have, and I have in my project box all of my fabrics as I'm getting them, and you can see I've cut off of these. Yours will be much bigger, a 1/2 yard. But I've labeled each of my fabrics as I get them, 1, 2, 3, all the way up to the 24, so I can keep track of what color is what. Because as you get into making this quilt, you might decide you want to switch things up and switch some colors in your blocks, and that's totally fine. You could do that. This is your quilt. Do with what you want. Each month you'll also get a color guide that tells you what fabric number we're going to be working in the different blocks each month. So you might want to invest in a project box if you don't already have one, a 3-ring binder. Keep it all together. We've got a whole year of fun to work on this, and I'm looking forward to it. We'll talk to you later. Bye.